Hello everybody, I'm Thankful, and it's Rarity time. A Nightmare to Remember, Part 2, by Serial Velocity. Logic only gives a man what he needs. Magic gives him what he wants. You have done well. Twilight barely slept through the rest of the night, try as she might. When she did manage to nod off, she was haunted by the face she had seen, by the way her friends had looked, by what she had supposedly done. But mostly, she remembered the words. She was quite sure most of them were nonsense, but the thing that kept running circles around her mind was the phrase she had chanted in her dream. She recalled every word she had said in perfect detail, and couldn't help but repeat them to herself as she tried to sleep. She wanted to forget them, of course, but they wouldn't loosen their grip on her subconscious. She couldn't stop feeling what she had felt when she had cast a spell, the empty world, the lack of sound. It frightened her. She awoke at some point when the first rays of light coming through the observatory window. She couldn't recall another time when she had been so grateful to see Celestia's star, but she knew what she had to do. The purple pony got up out of bed, walked to the table with her rolls of parchment, levitated a quill, and quickly wrote the phrase down word for word. It took up almost the entire page when she was finished. She set the quill in the inkwell and took a long look at what she had written. It didn't make sense. She wasn't sure why she had assumed that it would, but she felt an intense need to put it down on paper after. She looked over the balcony at the small pile of ashes lying betwixt several of her books. She was surprised with herself, almost unduly so. Book burning wasn't usually her style. This was a special case, she said to herself, feeling the need to justify her actions. No pony has to know. She looked back to the parchment she had written the phrase on. Magically, she rolled it up and carried it with her, suddenly unwilling to part with it, as she descended to the ladder and began the long process of cleaning up after herself last night. The ashes went into a wastebasket, the books to their shelves, and the stray bits of paper to their respective tables. All the while she carried the scroll down with her, never setting it down. Finally, it was all she was left with. She hesitated and set it down on the table. It seemed to look back up at her, with what expression she couldn't say. She was even sure what she had wanted to do with it now that she had it. It certainly hadn't cleared her mind like she thought it might. She shook her head and forced herself to continue cleaning up. This needed to stop. Rarity would be here soon. For the last several weeks, the unicorn designer had been mentoring under Twilight, interested in proving her grasp on magic. Rarity had said that it was purely academic curiosity she had in the arcane. Darling, I don't think that you should be the only one to know these things. But Twilight wasn't sure that it was her real motivation. Maybe she was still embarrassed about the suit of armor business from a while back. Truthfully, though, she didn't mind teaching magic. It was the one thing she was proud to know in the back of her mind. She just hoped she would be in a proper mood for it this morning. The first few weeks of her lessons had mostly consisted of magic theory, which a younger unicorn would have found quite boring, but Rarity had seemed to eat it up. Today was the first real lesson. Twilight cleared a small space in the middle of the library, placing a small table, some books, and her bag next to it. She was halfway through setting up some teacups when she heard the familiar knock on her door, which opened to reveal the white unicorn. She smoothed her already perfect mane with a hoof. "Good morning, Twilight," she said cheerfully, but her expression softened when she saw the purple mane. "Goodness, dear, you look terrible." She supposed she did. She hadn't had much time to worry about her appearance. She smiled good-naturedly. "I didn't get much sleep last night," she admitted. Rarity lowered a brow. "Perhaps we can do the lesson later? You look exhausted." No, it's fine," Twilight said quickly. She needed this. She needed something mindless to clear her head. Rarity gave her an odd look before giving in and entering the library, sitting down on one of the pillows Twilight had laid out. Twilight did the same, sitting down at the opposite side of the low table. She rummaged in her bag and retrieved a small metal puzzle and placed it on the table. "Did you read what I asked you?" Twilight began. "Every word," Rarity said, looking down at the puzzle. "Then let's see how much you remember from last week." She nudged the bits of metal. Rarity took a critical look at it and levitated it in front of her face, twirling it around to get a better view of it from all sides. After half a minute, she began to magically manipulate the bits to form the desired shape. She closed her eyes as she worked. Twilight watched and waited. Rarity had a good deal of experience with controlling fine objects with her magic, so she figured this would be a good place to start. She was right. In under a minute, Rarity had completed the puzzle and set it down. She beamed with pride. Done? Good, Twilight said, genuinely pleased. It was time for something a little bit more difficult for her, though. She levitated the tea kettle full of water and poured an amount of it into one of the cups in front of her. She set the cup in front of the white pony. Freeze it. Freeze it? Twilight nodded. She knew the mare had no idea how to do this, but she wanted to try to see how she handled herself. It's a common spell for the weather ponies in Canterlot. Try it. Rarity concentrated on the water in the cup, and her horn glowed as she tried to do as she was told. The water bubbled a bit, but other than that, nothing happened. She closed her eyes again, trying to figure out how to perform the spell. Twilight waited a certain amount of time before speaking up softly with their planned lesson. The water moves, doesn't it? Come again. Can't you feel it? Try again. Rarity looked at her with a lost expression. Close your eyes and try again. Rarity did as she was told, her horn lighting up. Even though it's still, the water moves. Not to your eyes, but to your magic. It's obvious. It's almost unnoticeable. If you go deep enough into the water, you can feel it. There's energy, a force that makes it so. Focus on the cup, and you will feel it. Can you feel it? Yes. Yes, I can, I think. Don't think. Can you feel it? I can feel it. Make it stop. Make the motion stop. Take it away. Remove it. Rarity's eyes shut a little tighter, and her horn's glow brightened a bit. In a far shorter time than Twilight had expected, the water in the cup frosted over, cracked, and froze. It hadn't frozen to the centre, but was definitely mostly ice. Rarity opened her eyes and looked at what she had done with delight. I did it! I did it! She exclaimed, stomping her hoof onto the ground. Twilight smiled at her success. So you did feel it? Yes! That was exhilarating. So where did you put it? What? Where did I put what? The energy. Where did you put the energy you took away? Rarity looked rather puzzled at the question. I don't know, darling. That's the lesson for today. When you take something away from an object, you have to put it somewhere else. Our magic is powerful, but even we cannot destroy the building blocks of our world. Not even Celestia can do that. Rarity suddenly didn't look so proud of her cup of ice. She bit her lip with a slightly guilty look. So, where did I put it? I dissipated it into the air while you worked. I made the room warmer. That's all. I didn't feel anything. It was only a cup of cold water. Rarity's features relaxed as she understood, but creased once more at the implications. So, what happens when you freeze something bigger? Like a lake? You didn't do it all at once. When's the only time you freeze a lake? For winter. What else can you do with water during the winter initiation? Clouds? Exactly. If you move the energy to the top of the lake, you boil that thin layer of water. If you do it right, you get vapor. The Weather Pegasus ponies take it from there. In Canterlot, anyway. I don't know how they do it in Ponyville. I really must visit my family in Canterlot sometime. It's been too long. She trailed off. She looked back at Twilight with sudden interest. What about a pony? What about them? What happens when you do that to a pony? At that question, scenes from her dream flashed in front of Twilight's eyes quicker than she could consciously identify. The purple mare swallowed and her face turned deathly serious. She was sure that Rarity didn't mean anything by the question. It was a logical next thing to ask. She had asked the same question herself when she had learned that spell. That said, she wanted to leave the correct impression when she had the chance. Why in Equestria would you want to do that? Duly noted. An uncomfortable silence filled the air as neither pony said a word. After a moment, though, Twilight gave Rarity a soft smile. You did well. Would you like some tea? Yes, please, Rarity said, returning a smile, seemingly grateful for the change of subject. Twilight got up and went to the kitchen and came back with tea bags. The two chatted away, the hours amiably about whatever was on their minds, and passed the morning with more magic. The sun was high in the sky when Rarity departed the library with one of Twilight's magic books. It wasn't until many hours after that Twilight had realised that her scroll was missing.